What's up, guys? Young Bucks, old goats. It's kind of a rainy, sad kind of day here in South Florida, and that's not just the weather. For me, well, you know what? Let me not give you my opinion first. Let me give you the facts first. By the way, we're going to be talking about the Dolphins' new quarterback signing, Tyler Huntley. And in the background, I'm watching Monday Night Football. So we're watching a little bit Falcons, Eagles here, 3-zip. Falcons up about halfway through the second quarter. We got Kirk Cousins working on improving his primetime record, which isn't very good. And our old friend Vic Fangio's out there, and Jalen Hurts is scrambling around. But anyways, the news today, if you're a Dolphins fan, is that we picked up off the Ravens practice squad Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley, if you don't know, you could pick somebody up off anybody's practice squad and add them to your active roster. And he was on the Ravens practice squad. He's got like 9 career starts under his belt. 3-6 is his record. He actually does have some playoff experience as well. He relieved Lamar Jackson one game when he suffered a concussion, of all things. And then he started another game for the Ravens. So he does have some playoff experience under his belt. He's a local guy, Hollandale Beach, Florida. And most recently, after being 3 years on the Ravens, serving as Lamar Jackson's backup, he was in camp with the Browns, but they cut him. The Browns had obviously Deshaun Watson. They have also Jameis Winston, Dorian Thompson, and he just didn't make the cut there. And luckily, he was able to catch back on with the Ravens, and they had him on his practice squad. And it's escaping me right now who Lamar Jackson's backup was. He was not the what up, Papa Hog? How you doing, bro? He was not the primary backup, obviously, because he was on the practice squad for them. Let me look that up real quick because I forgot. Ravens roster. Who was the backup that he could not? Because I want to also lay out who he was not able to supplant in Baltimore. Who is their backup? Let's see. Trying to check out their depth chart here. At any rate, he was available, and who is their backup? Ravens backup. Well, that's neither here nor there. We picked him up. He automatically is going to leapfrog Boyle on the depth chart. And he is a former Pro Bowler, too, for some reason. I don't know if any of you guys remember this. He was actually voted into the Pro Bowl a few years ago, and it was the weirdest thing because he had only played a few games, and there's a conspiracy theory out there that maybe even the Dolphin fans had something to do with that, because they were voting in Tua, and to not give votes to the other top quarterbacks like Mahomes or Allen, they were putting Huntley in as number 2, which helps I don't know if they fixed this sort of glitch or cheat code in the Pro Bowl voting, but you vote one for your guy, whoever that may be. Maybe other teams were doing it too. I don't know. This is again a conspiracy theory. So you vote one for your guy, and then you vote two for a guy that really has no shot. Nobody else is going to vote for outside of maybe their friends and family, and you end up getting a lot of votes that way for a guy like Huntley. And he actually went to the Pro Bowl. Obviously, it wasn't deserving because, before you get to him, you would have had to have every single starter for every single AFC team should have been ahead of him. But anyways, he's got that odd distinction in his history. He's a guy that can move around a little bit, serviceable backup. Not honestly, not the kind of guy I wanted to see them sign. I wanted to see them go for it, and maybe they will. Maybe this is a placeholder thing, and they'll wait a little bit longer to see how Tua progresses, and then maybe they'll go in a little bit harder after that. But I felt like this is kind of like a nothing move. If you thought this guy was good enough to be better than Boyle, you should have. Why you even get Boyle? You should have had him before you had Boyle. And some of the reactions I've been seeing around the fan base are like, dude, you would have thought we signed like Dan Marino in his prime or something. Like, pump the brakes, man. There's a reason. Yeah, I wish him the best, and I hope he helps us out and everything, but there's a reason he was on a practice squad. There's a reason even the Ravens gave up on him and then got him back after the Browns gave up on him. I would hope that Skyler can, do something on Sunday and going forward too, because he's been there 3 years now. And Eagles just scored a touchdown, by the way, over here. It's going to be 7-3 after the extra point here. I think that's Devontae Smith on the touchdown there. So I would hope that Skyler can do something with all the experience and time that he has under his belt with us, and not just like a guy off the street. Just they're already talking about maybe he plays in 2 weeks. What's Papa Hog got to say here? Hope that Miami born bring back that old real Miami ball back, playing to win by any means necessary, like the old Dolphins and the old U. Yeah, I don't know. I remember hearing a quote from McDaniel a couple of days ago that then I maybe I'm putting my own spin on it. I don't know. Then I applied some sort of logic to this quarterback signing, and the gist of what he was saying was, all the science tells us how delicate. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, guys, so don't quote me on this, but he was saying all the science that we know about head injuries tells us how delicate it is, and that one of the most important things you don't want to do is instigate any sources of anxiety for the person dealing with the concussion. He was referring to putting a timetable on his return, and he was referring to that. But also, wouldn't a source of anxiety be if we went out and we got the guy that a lot of people wanted, including myself, Ryan Tannehill? Even though that may not have worked with Tannehill's requirements, that would have been a source of anxiety. All of a sudden, you're bringing in your ex-girlfriend, while I'm gone, or you bring in a Garoppolo or Brady, or one of those, even a Flacco, or one of those bigger names. I guess it was kind of expected that they were going to bring in one of these like second tier kind of just a body, but that's all it is. Let's not kid ourselves, right? This is basically a body that they're bringing in, and I'm sure he's an okay backup, which, you always want your backup to kind of win a couple games in a pinch, maybe go 500 through a long stretch. That's the best you can ask. But if anybody's really expecting this guy to even to even take Skyler's job, that would mean, damn, you didn't build this team that great if you're able to pluck somebody off a practice squad and that automatically becomes your starter, which is what some people are saying could end up happening with this guy. I don't know. I don't know how. I've just heard a lot of commentary about how this is such a great move. To me, it almost feels like you're kind of giving up. You know, this team is too talented. There's too many weapons. The defense catches a lot of flack. Dude, the defense hasn't given up any points in the second half of any of the first two games. The only points that we've given up in the second half were the pick six in the second half. But that's not on the defense. So the defense has given you a chance to win those games. Some people say they've taken a step back. Yeah, they haven't gotten off to good starts in the first half, but overall, they're in my book, they're not to blame. If anything, they've given us a shot to win. And next week, you got to go up to Seattle on a fourth, I think it's a 4-ish, 4:15, 4:30 kickoff. And you got to go play a pretty good 2-0 Seattle team with going to be a loud stadium with a pretty damn good defense. Geno Smith, who we're familiar with, they're favored by 5.5 points right now. They're giving up about 20 points a game. They just coming off beating the Pats in overtime. You're probably going to have to score 24 points to win that game. Do you think we can muster 24 points on Sunday on that defense, on that environment with a young quarterback that's kind of inexperienced? I mean, if Skylar Thompson's been waiting for a chance to prove himself, he's gonna get it. I don't have anything against him. I wish it wasn't such a bad environment for him to you never can plan these things, obviously, but geez, he got a pretty tough one for his shot there. So we'll see what happens. So I don't know. I kind of feel like they went the way of this guy just to, like we talked about a couple nights ago when we did a show, not cause any controversy, not have Tua worried about looking over his shoulder when he comes back, not stir up the pot too much in that regard. But for me, it's disappointing, man. I kind of feel like they're not really going for it. I guess it would be an admitting of a major mistake if you did that, right? A mistake that they're not willing to admit yet, which is not only the contract, but that they didn't foresee this, which they should have in preseason, to bring in a viable backup veteran in case of this very likely scenario, which is what we're dealing with right now. Papa Hog in the chat says, Hope Huntley is a fast learner. Skyler has some tools, but just not smart enough. Every other down he plays, he does something dumb. Just wait, got to give him the quick hook. Yeah, I mean, Seattle, he's going to, barring a complete catastrophe, he's going to be out there. Tim Boyle hasn't even been here long either. Not gonna look it up right now, but I think we just signed that guy like not too long ago after Mike White left. So, I mean, the pressure is going to be on, dude. He is going to be out there on his own with not much of a safety net. I imagine, come the following game, then maybe you work in Huntley if you have to. But this weekend, boy, he's going to be out there thrown to the dogs with nobody to save him. Then, if you want to look a little bit further down the road after that game, we have week 4. It's a Monday nighter. I think we played these people on Monday night last year, right? Titans, which have looked not good so far. But sometimes we have been known to be the cure for those type of ailments. So we got that. And then we got at the Patriots, week 5. That's a Sunday game at 1:00. And week 6 is our bye. You would think, I would guess that you're not going to see Tua anytime before that. And the update from the team today was that he was in the building, in good spirits, in the concussion protocol, and he's day-to-day. I'm surprised they might be coming tomorrow because they got to make a corresponding move with the Huntley signing if they don't put him on IR. Or they got to do some type of move tomorrow to make room, because you can't put Huntley on your practice squad. When you pick somebody up off somebody's practice squad, you gotta put them on the active 53. So we'll see what they do, but he has 7 more days to clear the protocol, or they'll have to put him on IRs, what I understand. So they won't even get to choose, but they could choose to do that now. And what that does is that'll also free up a roster spot for you. So I don't know if they're going to wait for the protocol before they decide that. If they don't, but you're kind of like running the clock forward on the time that he can come back if you don't do it now. So if they wait the 7 more days and then you have to put him on IR because he doesn't pass, or you decide to put him anyways, you've lost time. So I don't know. I'm sure I would hope they're on top of that and make a decision on that. Hopefully tomorrow. Do you think if Skylar doesn't do at least decent, it will be his last start? I was thinking about that when I was thinking about how he may do. Yes, he won a game at the end of 2022 when Tua was dealing with the concussion after the Packers, but that was one of the uglier games I've ever witnessed versus the Jets. I want to say it was like 13-6 or something. I don't remember if there was a safety or some weird scoring situation, but it was not a pretty win. And then he damn near pulled out that playoff game against the Bills, but there was, I don't know if it was him and McDaniel or both. There was so many delay of games, in some cases there was like back-to-back delay of games, timeouts to stop delay of games, and then still that we couldn't get out of our own way. If not, we would have won that game. But we know that these guys don't get too many opportunities. There's young draft. Look at Bryce Young. I think they're ready to bench him over there. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be like you would get a few years, but they would let you sit on the bench and learn, usually behind somebody that was still capable. Now everybody's looking for the savior to come in right away and do it for you right away, which is it's really sink or swim situation with a lot of these guys now. So yeah, we very well could be seeing the beginning of the end for Skyler, or he could carve out a niche as a dependable backup. Give the team a chance to win. This is not the toughest part of the schedule, even though this first game is kind of a tough one. But after that, you got the Colts, you got the Cardinals. Then week 9, we go up to Buffalo. Then we go to the Rams, Raiders, Patriots, at Packers, Jets, at Houston, San Francisco, at Browns. That would have been a tougher stretch if you would have said, hey, he's injured and we got to go at Texans, play the Niners, at Browns, at Jets. So I guess it could have been a worse. It could have been a worse scenario. Did they already say that? That's crazy. And that owner's another one that has a lot of money and not he's willing to make changes and stuff. So another Alabama guy. Never liked those Alabama guys. Not too many. I mean, I'm watching an Alabama guy here, Jalen Hurts, but he did end up playing somewhere else, right? Can't remember where, but he left Alabama. He was at one time an Alabama guy that actually Tua supplanted at one point. But in general, those Alabama guys have not been successful in the next level. I mean, Mac Jones, the guy they have there now, Milroe, I think it is getting some hype. But I don't know that they always said that team with so much skill players and so much talent everywhere on the team that it didn't really forge great quarterbacks. A lot of times, a lot of these really good quarterbacks that we see in the NFL, especially in years past, would come out of smaller schools where they had to sort of put the team on their shoulder and do things on their own, and that made them into leaders and into what they are. But if you're always playing with all these first round picks all around, that's not to say you can't be good, but it certainly doesn't put you to the hardest of tests all the time. I think the Falcons, well, they cut to break. Falcons were driving here. So yeah, never really been a big fan of those guys, but we'll see. They did say it looked like Armstead might play, so that's a good sign for this weekend. I was listening to Chris Perkins earlier, and he was saying, this cannot be it for the season. You can't tell me. Oh no, dude, yeah. If you're talking receivers, they're probably receiver you, and a lot of good running backs too, and just everywhere really, except that quarterback position they haven't been able to figure out. But anyways, Perkins was saying this can't be it. You can't just get Tua hurt and then the season is down the tubes. That means that you're a fraud, that you're a failure basically because of the way you built this team. They got to be able to do something with all that talent they have. So I don't know if they're going to wait and see how Tua progresses, and maybe this was just part one, and then they go in and they take another one. Okay, I couldn't find this earlier. Josh Johnson, he of many teams, he's the backup on the Ravens. So those are the guys. Josh Johnson's been on double-digit teams, I think. He's the guy that Huntley was behind, and I had heard his name mentioned one time as a potential guy to get for the Dolphins. Kirk Cousins, handoff, and they get stuffed. This game's about to be at halftime. We got a couple ex-Dolphins we're going to see in Seattle. Center Connor Williams, linebacker Jerome Baker, which I think he got hurt last week, so I don't know if he's going to be playing, but he is on that roster. Trying to see what else I got for you guys. I do wonder. I was reading some of the concussion symptoms that you get. None of them sound good for a quarterback. Let me see if I can bring them up. You guys watching Monday Night Football? Yeah. Incomplete pass. Kirk Cousins. Headaches. Balance problems. Dizziness or balance problems can occur. Vision problems. Blurry or double vision can occur. Light or noise sensitivity. You may be bothered by light or noise. Feeling off. You may feel sluggish, hazy, foggy, or groggy. Confusion. You may feel confused or have trouble concentrating and remembering. Nausea or vomiting. Sleep abnormalities. Memory loss. Seeing flashes of lights. Feeling like you've lost time. All these things sound terrible for a quarterback. So, we're just in the midst of a fiasco, but it's a long line of fiascos if you've been following this team. There was some we even forgot about. My co-host last show, the bum, brought that up at the beginning of the show, and I was thinking, like, he was saying, what is the biggest fiasco or scandal or disappointment? Oh, and how does this one compare to it? I had forgotten about the whole Ricky Williams saga, retiring right before the season, and I think we went like 4-12 or something after that. There was the whole Bullygate thing was just like an embarrassing thing. It showed you like how out of control that locker room was. There was the whole coach on cocaine was another one. There was the tampering with Tom Brady. Now, when they probably should have been tampering with Tom Brady, they don't want to, which it wouldn't even be tampering. He's not on any other team or anything. There was that we got penalized for. That was a first-round pick. We lost. There was the whole coach flow accusations of being offered $1 million to tank, lawsuits, which I think the NFL bundled all that together with the tampering and sort of gave us like a group punishment for that, if I'm being honest. They were all around the same time, and it was just weird timing of it all. There was the whole Nick Saban not going to Alabama. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Not going to go to Alabama. And then he went to Alabama. That was a big one. There was the whole Culpepper over Breeze. That was another one. Which, as one of my boys pointed out, maybe that's why they went after Tua. They didn't want to have another not taking the injured guy that's going to come back, which was, the doctors giving the advice where they thought McNabb would have a better time coming back from a leg injury, which he was kind of like a running quarterback, rather than Breeze coming back from a shoulder injury. So Is Tua the only QB having concussions the last 3 years? Man, I'm trying to think. Certainly not in that fashion. That's for sure. Like we haven't seen anything in that fashion with the fencing response with the hands. I'm sure. I'm sure there's guys getting concussions out there, quarterbacks that is. But back in the day, there used to be you got your bell rung a little bit, and then they give you a little smelling salts, and you go back out there. I remember Marino one time in Seattle got his bell rung, and they gave him the smelling salts. He went back out there and he threw, I think, like a 55-yarder to Rondé Gatson or something like that. That was definitely a concussion, but that's another era. I know one of the guys that they were talking about bringing back here, Teddy Bridgewater. He had some concussions. One where he was carted off the field. I'm not sure if that was within the last 3 years or not, but I know he got stretchered off the field. I believe when he was in Denver, before he was a Saint, after he was a Viking. But I can't recall any other major ones for quarterbacks. As far as fiascos that the Dolphins have dealt with besides this one, or disappointing moments, or just things that people get tired of dealing with this franchise. I mean, we forgot about the Tyreek thing real fast with all this, right? That was kind of like a distraction in a way, just like a few days ago. Like, that's really been put on the back burner, so we forgot about that one. I guess back in the 70s, a really big one was when Zonka, Kick, and Warfield left for the short-lived World League. And I guess if I'm reciting this correctly, they didn't get a chance to really defend the title when those guys, I guess they were in some sort of contract dispute and they didn't think they'd leave and they ended up leaving. And then eventually a couple of those guys came back, but it was years later and they were older guys. But this is just another in the long list of disappointments. I just hope we can get out of it quickly, not anything extended and that's going to hold the franchise. I don't know. I would hope that they're going to go and if he comes back, do they still try to shore up that backup position or they just roll with it? Or are they waiting to see if he doesn't come back and then they're going to go with the more proven veteran, somebody who can actually, get in there and win some games? You never know with Greer, and you got to think that a lot of it is not making his decision to give Tua that contract look like the wrong decision. He is really, really going all in on that pick, and he's not backing down. Like he's gonna sink or swim with that player and that contract. This game's at halftime right now, 7-6, and quarterbacks are not exactly lighting it up here. 75 yards for Cousin, 70 for Hurts. He does have a touchdown and 52 yards rushing. They got Jason Kelsey here. Anybody else getting tired of the Kelseys everywhere and the Swifts everywhere and all this stuff? All right, so Sunday will be the next. I might go live on that game while that game goes on. Sunday for What time is that game? 4:05. Sunday, September 22nd. Skylar Thompson has been named your starting quarterback. I wonder if they're going to dress Huntley or they're dress Boyle. And will it even matter? Which one of those two guys is the backup? But I tell you, we did the show a couple nights ago and we ran through like a ton of guys. I didn't have Huntley on my bingo card, but I guess it's the easy, safe, inoffensive move on a practice squad. Not going to cost you much. Tua's not going to be looking over his shoulder or getting his feelings hurt because we went and we got somebody. Not going to cause him anxiety, but overall, it was disappointing and just doesn't feel like we're going for it. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Shout out Papa Hog in the chat, and we'll see y'all next time. Let's go Dolphins. Peace.